devastation down here at the Breadline. They must have heard about the Ducktopian Dawn Revolution, and now they've shut it down, shut it down. Do not feed the ducks. The comrades are looking a little bit leaner today. Poor old one leg is in low spirits. It's quite interesting actually that 4 new "don't feed the ducks" signs have come up in the last couple of days. So I have some mixed feelings about that. But anyway, it's the 1st of spring today. It's a lovely warm day, and chilling with the ducks. I haven't had a what's that? Yeah, man. So 1st of spring today, nice warm day, and I've been pretty nocturnal lately actually, to be honest, but I vowed to get out of bed today to enjoy the day. Comrades, I might come visit you later. So yeah, I'll try and be succinct and not ramble on too long in this video, but it's not easy. I tell you, when you're on camera, I don't know how you guys feel. I know a few of you have mentioned it, but the frequencies seem to do something to you. You know, they seem to make you more tense, and I don't know what sort of EMF these cameras put out, but people say, you know, it's all in your head, but I don't think it is. So anyway, I'm pretty happy spring's underway, because the winter's a bit of a season of starvation with all the nature and hibernation. At least in my part of the world. I don't know what it's like where you are. Sorry, it looks like the audio might be maxing. Sometimes I hold the camera a bit close to the bit close to my face. So yeah, I hope you guys in the northern hemisphere will find a way to get through winter. Probably happy to see some cooler weather, I imagine, given what it's been doing over there. Had a couple of cups of coffee today, to be honest, and that was probably a bad move. It tends to get you a bit more mentally sharper and less brain fog, but obviously it also ramps up the anxiety. So yeah, I'll get into the should you feed the ducks or should you not feed the ducks, and I'm a bit biased, obviously, being a bird feeder man trying to inspire a Ducktopian revolution, because the only hope lay in the ducks and not the proles. I think Orwell overestimated the proles, but yeah, pros and cons of feeding the ducks. Oh man, that audio keeps maxing for some reason. So anyway, okay, the downside of feeding the ducks, feeding them bread. Bread's apparently pretty nutrient deficient, so they get full on the bread, and they really do, like, you know, stuff their faces with that bread. I've seen a quarter of a breadstick just rolling along the ground like tumbleweed, with 10 ducks hitting it, and it just disappeared in about literally 20 seconds. It was pretty funny, but you know, terrible for the ducks, I guess. I've seen ducks almost choking on bread as well, with a big bit of bread stuck in its bill, and it couldn't get it out. Oh my word, duckling. First duckling of spring, possibly. It looks like he's an orphan. So what other downsides are there to feeding the ducks? There's angel wings. Apparently they can get angel wings if they eat too much protein, even protein, not just carbohydrate. They can apparently get their wings bend out under the excess body weight, and it bends the bones in their wings and they can't fly, which is obviously like horrific. But from what I've seen in this park, where these ducks are fed all sorts of crap, and none of them have had angel wings, so I don't know if it's certain species that are more prone to getting it or not. But yeah, I think it's a lot rarer than they claim. As I say, people have fed these ducks. Some of them have been like 14 years old and they've eaten terrible things for years and they haven't had it. Trying to think if there's any other negatives to feeding the ducks. They obviously don't eat, they don't forage like they're meant to as much. Having said that though, how much food is there for them nowadays with the whole spraying thing? You guys know what I mean by that. And the collapse of the ecosystems. How much food do they have? And then when you feed them as well, if they don't eat all the food, then the rats will have more food to eat as well. And there are quite a few rats around here. Now onto the positives of feeding the ducks. They're obviously a lot of fun. You know, you can mooch some of their good energy, some of their loving good vibes, and it's a cheap day out for the family, and it gets the kids interacting with nature. But the downside to that is if they're feeding the ducks, you know, bread, or I've even seen people feeding them cake, which is obviously terrible. So I'm kind of botching my lists here. I was trying to keep it all positive, but then I went with that negative. But for instance, if you're feeding them wild birdseed, then it seems to be pretty healthy. Oh man, here comes the big black duck. Oh, far out. Old black paradise. The boss. Finally got him on camera. No one believes that he runs the park. They all think Birdfeederman's just a schizophrenic. I'm tempted to stop the video because if I don't, you know, it might mysteriously malfunction, as tends to happen. As tends to happen when you get targeting caught on tape. I'm glad I kind of held my nerve there and I didn't wail like a little girl, as I often do when he comes for me. Fuck, he's a character. So that's pretty much how last spring began as well. That's when I first met Old Black Paradise. You know, I was walking into the park thinking, time to relax in nature. And then it was like, cue the beautiful classical music. What's his name? Peer Gynt Orchestra. Misty Morning, or whatever it's called, Magical Morning. I had that playing in my mind, and then Old Black Paradise, sleaziest duck in the universe, slinked up to me and started harassing me. So he's interrupting me. He doesn't want me to put forward my case about the positive things of feeding the ducks. So the positives, as I see it, the kids get to interact with nature, which is a lot of fun. You know, wholesome fun. As long as they're feeding them like the bird seed or duck food, then the harm is minimized. I guess the problem is if everyone does it, you know, if a lot of people start doing it, then, you know, too much of anything is bad. So yeah, I can kind of understand, like, you don't want to get everyone doing it, but I think in small amounts, like, it may actually even help the ducks if they don't have enough food anymore. It's hard to say, you know, how much food they have nowadays, because a lot of the bugs and things have disappeared, like the worms and insects, and you know, you only have to look at the street lights to see how few bugs there are nowadays. I think that was a possum. Some creepy sounds in this little urban forest. There's one of my comrades. Hey ducky. She looks like she might be holding ducklings. So yeah, I had about 5 points to list in my positives for feeding the ducks, but to be honest, when the camera comes on, I don't know, I think it does something to me, and I can't concentrate as well. But yeah, feed them wild bird seed. An animal nutritionalist told me it's pretty healthy. Like, she said it would be fine. This lady was literally an animal nutritionalist, and I ran into her in the park. Obviously, like, don't give them too much. But I feel for these little bastards, eh? Like, I've seen so many of these little ducklings getting getting deaded, however it happens. I think, like, these days especially, like, given the austerity, like, and the austerity measures we're on, like all species, it's it's tough going. It's not easy being ruled by pricks. That's a onga onga, that nettle. It's meant to be pretty deadly actually if you walk into that. Had an interesting experience actually. I was in the bush and I was bush bashing, and I suddenly thought of onga onga, and we don't actually have much of it in most of the parts of the bush that I go to, but as soon as I thought of it, it appeared. It was like about a metre in front of me and I was approaching it, so that was quite out of it. Oh yeah, by the way guys, the whole like username NPC Birdfeederman, I don't know if it's all in my head, but I kind of feel like I've been given the cold shoulder by a few people because of it, because there's this big, you know, thing about NPCs, a big hatred for the you know, pseudo humans or whatever they are. But it was just meant in jest. It was kind of like it was because of at the start of the whole, you know, 2 years ago, the thing that happened that we're not allowed to name. I basically couldn't handle it, so I just went and hung out with the ducks and became like some sort of NPC bird feeder man that you might see in a video game. Because I just didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to interact with people and go along with the narrative. So I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I just want to be an NPC. That's kind of how I meant it anyway. So Old Black Paradise, he does have a missus coming up behind him. They're actually shell ducks. Here he comes. Ow! Oh man! He gives a little troll laugh. See, it doesn't matter where you go, you can't escape the abuse. But at least he's honest, you know? At least he does his own dirty work. That's what I respect about him. You know, he's the boss of the park, but he doesn't get his flying monkeys to do his work for him. It's funny, this place really is like a microcosm of society. It doesn't hurt that much. I think it's more the shock. It's more the trauma of being attacked by a giant psychopathic duck than the bite. His bark probably is bigger than the bite. It's a pretty epic bark. I've seen that duck take some pretty big hits. Like, people have accidentally, like literally accidentally, stood on his head because he walks in front of them and he kind of trips them up. And he literally shakes that off somehow. I don't know how he does it. I'm glad he survives because I quite like him nowadays. There's another one. Some more propaganda to shut down the Breadline. There's some crazy breeding going on with these ducks. I don't know if you can see that one, he's got like a white chest. They'll probably have some interesting ducklings. It's crazy times though, eh? Like, given the way the weather's going and everything, it kind of, for me at least, it kind of makes me think, where do I want to be? You know, where do I want to move to? Especially given the price of petrol. It's like, with summer coming, I'm kind of wary of like needing shade. So somewhere near a forest would be good. Living in a van would be probably pretty tough unless you have shade, if we're going to have a really hot summer. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to say in this video. Coming on 21 minutes and I haven't really said much, but if anything, if there's nothing else that you get from this video, I'm sure you'll appreciate Old Black Paradise's aerial attack on me. He's got such a strong spirit. I think that's what I love about him. An unbreakable spirit. Like, I'm sure he's taken some big hits over the years, that black duck. You know, one time I saw him and he'd had his neck ringed. Someone had strangled him, and I could tell because his whole neck was all the feathers on his neck were all like disheveled, and he looked a bit somber for a couple of days or a few days, but he bounced back and he was more defiant than ever. I think she might be a single paradise duck. It's actually quite rare for them to be single, because they mate for life, those ducks. Oh no, there's her partner. See, this is just for comparison. This is a regular black paradise duck. See how chilled he is? Like, they do get a bit territorial. Hey buddy. See, he's not going to chase me. So yeah, the other one is he's a right special case. But yeah, hats off to you guys in the Northern Hemisphere who have managed to like keep working, you know, especially those with outdoor jobs who are working in the heat. I can't imagine how you guys do it. I don't even know what the UV is anymore, because they stopped having the UV on the weather forecasts, you know, on the online weather websites. I think it was about 4 years ago they took the UV off there because it just skyrocketed, and I got gaslighted by our own weather forecasting agency here in New Zealand, trying to tell me the UV had always been that high, but I won't get into that anymore. Oh man, he's got a bad leg, that one. There's a lot of casualties in the duck world. You know, the serpents of the river, they come up and eat their legs, eat their feet. By serpents I mean the long fin eels. I think there might be some regular finned ones as well. I'm not entirely sure which ones they are. There's another "don't feed the ducks" propaganda sign over there. So the reason why I'm surprised about those signs is that for probably the last, I don't know, 20 to 30, however long it's been, years, they have never had signage saying you know, not to feed the ducks. This is like a new thing. There's a guy whose channel I watch, and he says things way more articulately than me, and his brain's probably been less broken. You know, I guess 10 years younger probably helps, but anyway, he says this place is basically a love starvation realm. And I agree entirely, like, from my life experience at least, but you just see like all the, you know, can't be helped things going on in society, like the what's going on with the property market, and then not allowing, you know, people to have pets in their rental properties, you know, having a micro, I don't even know if I can say it, micro CHIP pets. Like, we have to compulsorily microchip dogs here, which is a big turn off for me, because I don't want to do that to any animal. But there's all these steps, all these little things that seem fairly innocuous, but they all lead up to like less love in the world. Like what's going on with relationships, and like all the MGTOW people could tell you about that. I haven't followed that stuff for about a decade now. It's all just this divide and conquer, you know, of the sexes, and then putting people in shoebox apartments where they have very little options as to what they can do. And now it's don't feed the ducks, you know, and like the ducks, I was basically treating them as my my friends, you know, my not really my pets, but it was kind of a substitute that I could go and hang out with them and have a bit of a relationship with them before they flew off. And it's always been one of those mental health, you know, support things that feed the ducks in the park, you know, the crazy person in the park, like throwing bread at ducks, talking to them. Anyway, I think that's about, yeah, time's about running out on this video, because I only get 29 minutes or something. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. First of spring, lovely warm day here. I hope you're all doing okay, as best as can be expected. And yeah, till the next time. Birdfeederman over for now.